Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Today, we're talking about a vitamin you probably think you know, vitamin K. For most of us, it's the vitamin that helps our blood clot. It's the K from the German word for coagulation, and it's a hero in keeping our bones strong. But what if I told you that this familiar nutrient is at the center of a scientific revolution, one that's repositioning it as a potential key player in one of the most challenging fields in medicine? Repairing our own nerves. We're not just talking about blood and bones anymore. We're talking about the brain, the spinal cord, and the intricate network of nerves that run through our entire body. Scientists are uncovering a deep biochemical connection between vitamin K and the very structure and function of our nervous system, opening a new frontier in the quest to heal nerve damage. So, let's dive into the fascinating science of how this humble vitamin might hold the key to nerve regeneration. First, let's get a quick refresher. Vitamin K isn't a single molecule, it's a family. The two main forms we get from our diet are vitamin K1, or phyloquinone, found in leafy greens like spinach and kale, and vitamin K2, the menaquinones, which we get from animal products, fermented foods, and even from bacteria in our own gut. The classic job of vitamin K is to work as a sidekick for an enzyme called gamma-glutamyl carboxylase, or GGCX. This enzyme makes a tiny but crucial chemical modification to certain proteins. It adds a carboxyl group to their glutamic acid residues, turning them into something called GLA residues. This change is like giving the protein a key. It allows these new GLA proteins to bind to calcium and interact with cell membranes, effectively activating them to do their jobs. The proteins that manage the blood clotting cascade are the most famous examples of these vitamin K-dependent proteins. For a long time, we thought this was mostly a liver-centric story. But then, researchers found something that changed everything. They discovered that vitamin K and its dependent proteins were not just present, but highly active in the brain and nervous system. In fact, a specific form of vitamin K2, known as MK4, is the predominant form of the vitamin found in the brain. This was a pivotal moment. Why would the brain go to the trouble of concentrating a vitamin whose main job was supposedly happening in the liver? The answer, as we're now discovering, is that vitamin K is orchestrating a symphony of biochemical processes that are fundamental to the health and resilience of our nerves. The first major role is its connection to myelin. Think of the myelin sheath as the insulation around an electrical wire. In this case, the wire is the axon, the long projection of a nerve cell. This fatty layer is essential for transmitting nerve signals quickly and efficiently. When this sheath is damaged, a process called demyelination, it leads to devastating neurological diseases like multiple sclerosis. A major component of this myelin sheath is a class of lipids called sphingolipids. These aren't just structural filler, they are bioactive molecules that help regulate cell growth, survival, and differentiation. Research going back decades first hinted that vitamin K could control the creation of sphingolipids. More recent studies in mammals have solidified this link. It seems vitamin K acts as a regulator for key enzymes in the sphingolipid production line. By modulating the synthesis of these vital lipids, vitamin K directly contributes to building and maintaining the myelin sheath. This is critical not just for normal nerve function, but for the process of remyelination, the repair of damaged nerves. But perhaps the most exciting part of this story involves specific proteins in the nervous system that, just like the clotting factors in the blood, need vitamin K to function. Two of these have emerged as superstars in the drama of nerve injury and repair: growth arrest specific 6, or Gas6, and its partner, protein S. To become biologically active, both Gas6 and protein S must undergo that same vitamin K-dependent carboxylation process. Once activated, they can bind to a family of receptors on nerve and glial cells called the TAM receptors. This binding event triggers a cascade of signals inside the cell that promote cell survival, growth, migration, and even the cleanup of cellular debris. All processes absolutely essential for nerve regeneration. Gas6 in particular is a multitasking maestro. It's found all over the nervous system, in neurons, and in the crucial support cells known as glial cells. One type of glial cell, the Schwann cell, is responsible for producing myelin in our peripheral nerves. After an injury, Schwann cells need to multiply, clear away the damage, and create a supportive pathway for the severed axon to regrow. Studies have shown that Gas6 is a powerful stimulant for human Schwann cells, encouraging them to grow and proliferate. The Gas6 signaling pathway is also proven to promote myelination and, crucially, remyelination after an injury. To see how critical this is, scientists looked at mice that were genetically engineered to lack both Gas6 and its receptor. These mice showed extensive axon damage, chronic inflammation, and severely impaired remyelination after a nerve injury. This highlights just how vital the vitamin K-activated Gas6 system is for nerve repair. Gas6 also directly protects neurons from programmed cell death or apoptosis, and encourages neurite outgrowth, the sprouting of new axons and dendrites. On top of that, it helps control inflammation. A controlled inflammatory response is needed after an injury to clear debris, but if it goes on for too long, it can prevent healing. The Gas6 pathway helps to put the brakes on excessive inflammation, promoting a pro-repair environment. While Gas6 gets most of the attention, Protein S is a valuable neuroprotective partner. It also binds to the TAM receptors, is ramped up after a nerve injury, and has been shown to protect neurons from damage and reduce inflammation. And the story gets even more interesting. Recent research has uncovered another way vitamin K2 protects our nerves, by preserving the function of our mitochondria. Mitochondria are the powerhouses of our cells, generating the energy currency, ATP. Nerve cells are incredibly energy hungry, so healthy mitochondria are non-negotiable for their survival and function. Studies are now showing that vitamin K2 can protect nerve cells by stabilizing the mitochondrial membrane, reducing oxidative stress, and maintaining the healthy life cycle of mitochondria, which includes fusing, dividing, and clearing out damaged units. This mitochondrial protective effect adds another powerful layer to vitamin K's neuroprotective toolkit. So, with all this incredible biochemistry, what does it mean for treating actual neurological conditions? The potential is enormous. Let's start with peripheral neuropathy. This is a condition where peripheral nerves are damaged, causing pain, numbness, tingling, and muscle weakness. It's common in diabetes, but can also result from injuries or certain medications. A clinical study looked at patients with peripheral neuropathy and gave them 100 micrograms of MK7, a form of vitamin K2, twice a day. After just 8 weeks, the patients reported a significant reduction in symptoms like cramps, burning pain, and weakness. A 2018 study published in the Journal of Pharmacology, later highlighted on YouTube, reported an astonishing 90% reduction in symptom severity in patients with diabetic neuropathy after 2 months of vitamin K2 supplementation. The proposed mechanisms are exactly what we've been talking about: the activation of Gas6 to repair myelin and the support of mitochondrial function in those high-energy nerve cells. The potential extends to some of the most feared neurodegenerative diseases, like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. In Alzheimer's disease, we see the buildup of amyloid plaques and neurofibrillary tangles that kill off neurons. Excitingly, a study from the Rush Memory and Aging Project found that older adults with higher concentrations of the MK4 form of vitamin K2 in their brains had a significantly lower risk of developing dementia. Other research shows vitamin K2 can downregulate genes involved in both neurodegeneration and neuroinflammation. It appears to decrease the expression of genes involved in producing the very amyloid beta plaques that characterize the disease. And of course, its role in sphingolipid metabolism is also highly relevant, as alterations in these lipids have been linked to Alzheimer's pathology. For Parkinson's disease, The story centers on the death of dopamine-producing neurons and severe mitochondrial dysfunction. This makes vitamin K2, with its mitochondrial protective effects, a very compelling candidate for research. Animal studies have already shown that K2 can protect these specific neurons from damage by improving mitochondrial function. A clinical trial is currently underway to see if K2 supplementation can help people with Parkinson's who have genetic mutations affecting their mitochondria. It's also been observed that individuals with Parkinson's tend to have lower serum levels of vitamin K2 to begin with. It's important to understand the differences between the two main forms of vitamin K. Vitamin K1 is what you get from leafy greens. Its absorption can be somewhat low, and it's primarily whisked away to the liver to manage blood clotting. It has a relatively short half-life in the body. Vitamin K2 is found in animal products like meat and eggs, and especially in fermented foods like natto. The longer-chain forms of K2, like MK7, are much better absorbed and have a very long half-life in the bloodstream. This means they stick around longer and have a much better chance of being transported to tissues outside the liver, including our bones and, crucially, our brain. This superior bioavailability is likely why K2, in its MK4 and MK7 forms, is the star of this emerging neurological research. So, how can you nourish your nerves with vitamin K? The current recommended daily intake for adults is around 90 to 120 micrograms. But it's important to remember, these guidelines are based almost entirely on its role in blood clotting. Many experts believe higher intakes may be needed to fully activate the vitamin K-dependent proteins in other tissues, like the nervous system. To get more K1, the answer is simple. Eat your greens. Kale, collard greens, spinach, and broccoli are your best sources. For vitamin K2, fermented foods are king. Natto, which is fermented soybeans, is by far the richest source, though it has a very strong taste. Other fermented foods like sauerkraut and certain cheeses also provide K2. Animal products, like organ meats, egg yolks, and high-fat dairy from grass-fed animals are also good sources. The journey of vitamin K from a simple coagulation factor to a potential neuroregenerative powerhouse is a stunning example of scientific discovery. The research is still young, and we need large-scale clinical trials to confirm these effects and determine optimal doses. But the evidence is compelling. The biochemical pathways connecting this vitamin to myelination, neuronal survival, and mitochondrial health are being mapped in incredible detail. We are standing on a new frontier of nerve regeneration, and it's a powerful reminder that sometimes the biggest breakthroughs come from looking at familiar things in a brand new light. The humble vitamin K may just hold a key to unlocking a healthier, more resilient nervous system. Thanks for listening to G Fun Facts Online.